I'm easily distracted during sex.
Van.
No.
I was gonna let her look at
Why,
you too.
why me?
What do you know about him that you would go right to
Damn,
bed?
man. Not,
Well, the way you just nodded knowingly. Like,
no.
You kind of convinced yourself. You're like, yeah, I am.
No,
That's
not
the
at
way
all,
we
man.
all looked at him too.
Yeah.
What is it?
okay.
It was your innocent smile.
You were like, oh, that's
Who's
valid.
gonna own up to it?
That would be
So
mine.
funny. It is
All
yours?
right, Paul, explain yourself.
Yeah, I bailed you out. See what I did there? I love my wife. We've been together since high school. My brain starts going, and the next I know it's I. So, like for example,
I hope she knows you're going to say this.
No, she doesn't.
Okay.
I actually ran these
You got
by
some
her, and I didn't
explaining to
tell her
do.
this one because I didn't want her to say no.
Yeah.
So I'm everybody.
I am not responsible.
Right.
Just for the record.
If you all want
I
to
am
come to my
not.
divorce, go to homestereo.com. So this happened recently. We bought a new TV for the living room, and I'm in bed, and I started to think, because we like to put the TV on a swivel stand, and I'm like, the swivel stand isn't going to work with the new TV.
Oh my God.
Right.
And then,
What are you saying,
thank
right?
you. And then I started to do the math because the feet are really far apart. And in the middle of sex, I'm trying to imagine if it's 35 or 36 inches apart. And I just was like,
A story I'll never forget.
I just want to say, as a woman, I'd be very offended because we can tell if, like, and anything in bed, outside of bed, if your mind is not
yeah, but
there.
if your eyes are closed, you don't know.
Yeah.
Are her eyes closed the whole time?
Well, that's
Okay,
the
this is
rule.
like getting.
That's our rule.
I think
got
Emily
rules.
is
What can I tell you?
100% correct. Women can tell,
Yeah.
and they do know when their partner is distracted. Eyes closed, eyes open, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's the
They don't matter.
vibes.
Yes.
Well, am I the only one on this panel that does that?
It seems like he agrees with you.
No, I mean, at that point, I have a couple of questions. There are different aspects, or I would say positions, where you have to pay attention, right? There are only a couple of different times you're
That's
able
true.
to
There's a
check out.
couple where you can get injured.
Then there are, exactly, right? It's a little dangerous. But so I'm sure you're locked in at certain points, you know?
I'm not saying, wait a minute. I'm not saying, can the
No,
crew
you-
help me out here? I'm
have
not saying I'm
erectile
never locked in.
dysfunction.
I
Every
drift.
once in a while you drift,
All
but
right.
can you pivot
So
back?
we were gonna- well, yeah. So
Okay.
another night
What
we
is
were.
causing this? Paul?
Because it's just the way my brain. One thing jumps onto another,
Has it always been like this, or is this a recent phenomenon?
Well, you'll have to ask my wife, I guess, but it's been like this a while. Another night we were having people over the next night for dinner, and we were going to have steak, and I was going to cook, and I started in the middle of sex to try to
going-
decide what marinade I was going to
You're
use
making
on
it
the
work.
steak.
You're making it work.
I have a question. What if you're facing, like, I don't know if your bed is against the wall. I have a thing against beds on windows, but if you're just facing a bed and a wall, what could you possibly be distracted by?
Well, he's not.
It's not
he's
the
thinking
visual,
about
it's
anything
the
visual.
mental.
He's thinking
Can I ask
about.
you a question?
You have no idea where my mind goes.
So you get distracted. I guess it's fine. Do you ever start to maybe drift to other people?
Ooh, you trying to start mess.
Wow.
We need an answer.
There's something.
you-
I'm a little nuts, and this.
Okay, so do you think that this is our distracted, culture, or is it just that you have so much going on?
I think honestly, in all seriousness, I was a lawyer, and when you're trained as a lawyer, you're trained to think 5, 6 steps ahead.
No, he's right. My mom says the same thing all the time.
I'll sue you. And
I'm gonna say I'm a lawyer, and I ain't buying that argument. The jury will find you guilty. Okay.
you gotta help out a fellow lawyer. No, it's something about the way my brain works. Another time I said, if I wore my Fitbit, I wonder how many calories I'd be burning.
Oh, I've done that before.
Oh, you have?
Well, the
yeah,
truth
yeah,
is,
yeah.
it's
How
not
many did you
that
burn?
many.
I've done that before. Like you check which activity it says you're doing because there's no sex activity on there, and you judge the amount of work you're putting in
Based
by the activity it says that you're doing. So if it says that you're on a brisk walk, you're not going hard enough.
Yeah.
But if it says you're boxing,
Did you
has
make
to-
yours smoke?
okay.
Did you make it smoke?
All right. All right. Paul's wife. I'm sorry. We're
like
not
it, though.
responsible for this.
yeah.
Sorry, Carol.
I have a confession. I end relationships over text.
Ashley.
Ashley.
That's so disrespectful. No,
No? Oh.
Not Ashley.
I ghost.
Guilty.
Wow.
It must
I just
be- it
wanted to
must
see.
be
I wanted to see if y'all
a
knew it
woman.
was me. I was actually like looking to see who was. Okay, this feels like that game, Imposters. So my initial prompt was that I end relationships over bad texting, but then when they misconstrued it, I was like, wait, no, I've broken up with those guys over text too.
Same guys.
So it works. Yeah, the bad texters, I'm like, you're getting broken up with over text. Honestly, there's really no valid explanation. Like for such a confrontational person, I'm very not confrontational when it comes to like men and stuff. And like, you can't really combat it or explain yourself. Also, let me know, women on the panel, women aren't like men. Like if you've made up your mind,
a
it's
wrap.
made up. Like
It's
I already
done.
knew I was breaking
Yeah.
up with you
I'll save you
before.
and me
That's
time.
true.
So that's what I'm saying. So when I send the
Meaning, like,
text, I
once
don't
you made
want
up-
the apology. I don't want the explanation. My mind's made up and it's over.
You don't want the conversation.
No.
because then
Yeah.
it's
But what
a
if you were
whole
on the
therapy
receiving
session.
end of that and a guy did that
I'm
to
sure
you?
I have, and you live.
Yeah, I've been.
It makes you stronger.
And
I
that's
feel
what,
like-
that's what y'all say. But then you know what happens? You go and you take the screenshot of the message and you put it on Twitter.
Oh, no,
and
we
then it goes,
don't.
and people go nuts. How could he? What a terrible guy. What a jerk. You shouldn't do that to somebody, right?
I
you
don't
after-
think we do that.
Well, look, I think that a relationship that wasn't that deep in the first place can be broken up with over text. I mean, back in the day, it was like Google Message or AIM or whatever, like whatever it was.
sometimes-
you can do that because it's a reflection of the nature of the
Yeah,
relationship.
no, but I think sometimes it can be so bad and even so like intense and good that all you can do is a text.
Because
like
then you know in person you won't do
you
it.
don't right. It's like the manipulation of like, give me one more time. Oh baby, baby,
tears.
please. No.
I'm gonna change.
I'm over it. We're done. Block.
I
How many
think
times
there's
have you done this?
Too many.
Like, like more than a handful.
thing is,
Abby, you
my
haven't been in
I'm
these
just
streets in a
curious.
minute, okay?
No,
you don't know
but
what
that's
it's like
not
out
an
here.
excuse. I
That's
think-
You ain't
fine.
had your wife since high
That's-
school. You
that's
don't know
fine.
how rough it is.
That
out
is
here.
true, but there
you
was
single
a
too?
time.
It's
Look
rough.
what she's
Yes.
putting up with.
There,
It's
there was a
rough.
time when I was in the streets and I did.
Things have changed.
Yes,
Abby.
I was
back
in
in
the
the day.
streets.
And I mean, this was back in the Google message days.
Exactly,
And
so
do
I don't wanna
still- I
hear
will
it.
say, I do still have those messages. I do keep them saved.
Let me just tell you
way.
something. If
But
you've never
there are certain people,
been
it's like, it's
single,
fine.
If you have not been in a relationship and if you've been in a relationship long enough, you haven't slid in somebody's DMs, I don't want to hear it.
That's a good litmus test.
See, I think
That
it should be
that is.
two. There should be two standards. Like if you just started going out with the person, I get it. But there's like I think 6 months or more, you got to call them up and face the music.
You probably have already slow broke up with them anyway.
Bingo.
And the text is just like, it's
Men don't get it.
Done.
Men
No,
change their
you-
mind after it's broken up with and when it's too
because
late
you-
to salvage. Women, we're already like, all right,
I
this is
gave
my
you
mark and
6
you
months.
failed.
Although I will say,
Exactly.
I think Van is probably right that if the woman had been on the receiving end of that text message, it would be.
I think men don't know how to act,
I
to
think
be honest. so
there's
we
no
probably
probably
are
to
on
it. Like I see
would.
I see this stuff like all the time. Like what a bad person, what a jerk, what all of this stuff. You can at least call somebody. I don't want to do this anymore. Call.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
You know what
don't
it
have to
is?
fake
I
it.
always give like warnings.
You're what generation are you?
I'm Gen Z. Oh,
Okay,
wow.
so see that.
It is that.
I'm a millennial.
I'm breaking up
Case
with you over
closed.
TikTok.
Case
No, I'm
closed.
joking.
That's-
No,
this is-
I'm
that's
an
all
old
we need to
millennial.
know.
No.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, well,
no,
you're
she
saying that
agrees
you
with
do it.
Yeah.
Even
I don't
though
think
you're an
I
old millennial.
understand it.
I think alpha women do it.
I think I understand it. It's like at some point you've had the conversations, you probably like did a little break, came back together, and sometimes you just are like,
You've
Yeah,
executed
but
all
see,
the
now
options.
you're gilding the lily, like you're sort of creating these facts to justify it. Like if that's the case, then that's different. But like if you're going along and it's pretty good and it's been a while, you would be upset. You would
You
be
do
upset,
that?
and you
If
would
it's-
be upset if a guy
Listen, if
did
a
that
guy
to
was
you.
like, "Hey, babe, I feel this way and that way and that way, and I don't change up how I act," and like he gave me fair warning, I can't say I'd be shocked. I'd probably be like,
Okay, that's a different story. I mean,
Yes.
if there's
Women
been a
always
lot
do
of
that.
warning leading up to it, then that's fine.
I don't think she's a psychopath. You aren't being like,
so
I
happy.
love you, and then being like, it's a wrap.
Right, yeah,
She's
exactly.
saying like
You're
it's on the
breaking
verge of
up.
breakup. It's just the tactic in which you do it.
Tell you guys something.
Exactly.
Just so you guys know, you're creating damaged men when you do that. Dangerous for society.
They create
They're
damaged
creating
women
a bunch
too.
of futures
No.
to go
Plot
out
twist.
there.
They're gonna
and
pay it
terrorize.
forward.
Like they're gonna go out there.
They're gonna
Guess
pay
what?
for it.
It's just- I know dudes that you still talk to them. It's like, man, why can't you like be good to a woman? It's like, man, let me tell you a story about Becky. I met her in the 10th grade,
Bad
and,
excuse.
they're still holding on to it. And that's what you guys are doing with.
And
all
you know
this
what?
sex.
If he met Becky in the 10th grade and now I'm 44, he has terrorized women from 10th grade to 44.
That's facts.
And we
So
have Becky-
I am
we have-
not the one that made him the terror.
No, you have
okay?
Becky to
true.
blame for that.